In 1936, a single Lincoln wheat penny slipped quietly into circulation while America stood on the edge of change, carrying more than just copper in its skin. It passed through desperate hands during the Great Depression, witnessing hunger, hope, and survival in silence. Each scratch on its surface became a timestamp of a forgotten moment, a bill paid late, a meal barely afforded. Rumors grew that certain 1936 pennies vanished from banks, reappearing decades later in impossible condition. Collectors whispered about hidden mint errors and double details that escaped unnoticed for years. Some say this penny traveled coast to coast, surviving fires, floods, and wartime pockets. Its wheat stalks watched the nation rebuild, one day at a time. Now, nearly a century later, it resurfaces from a drawer or jar, demanding attention. Is it just a coin or a survivor of history? Because once you spot a 1936 wheat penny, you're no longer holding change. You're holding a story that refuses to stay buried. The story of the 1936 wheat penny begins during a time when America was slowly recovering from the Great Depression. The year 1936 was one of cautious optimism for the United States as people began to find work again. Industries were reviving, and the government's New Deal programs were helping rebuild confidence across the nation. The Lincoln wheat cent, which had already been in circulation for nearly 3 decades, by this time was one of the most familiar coins to the American people. Its simple yet powerful design had become a symbol of endurance through difficult times, and in 1936, this coin carried that spirit forward. The obverse of the wheat penny featured the famous profile of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, a sculptor whose work had left a lasting mark on American coinage since its introduction in 1909. The image of Lincoln was meant to embody honesty, courage, and leadership qualities that Americans deeply admired, especially during challenging years like the 30s. On the reverse side of the 1936 penny were 2 wheat stalks framing the words "1 cent United States of America" and a pluribus unum. The wheat stalks were a tribute to American agriculture and the hard work of farmers who formed the backbone of the country's economy. Even in hard times, they reminded people of growth, renewal, and strength in unity. The minting of the 1936 wheat penny took place at 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each of these facilities produced millions of coins to meet the needs of the recovering economy. The Philadelphia Mint struck the largest quantity, and those coins bore no mint mark under the date. The Denver coins carried a small letter D, while the San Francisco coins featured an S mint mark, as collectors know each mint mark can influence a coin's rarity and value. The year 1936 is especially interesting because it marked one of the first times the United States Mint began producing proof coins for collectors after a long pause since 1916. These 1936 proof pennies were specially made with polished dies and smooth planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish that distinguished them from regular circulation coins. Only a few thousand of these proofs were made, making them some of the most prized pieces among collectors. Today, these proof sets were sold directly to collectors by the Mint and represented a new era of coin collecting interest in the United States beyond their production. Details: the 1936 wheat pennies tell a story of transition in American life. The Great Depression had hit its lowest point just a few years earlier, but by 1936, there was a sense of progress. The Works Progress Administration had created jobs. The Social Security Act had begun to provide hope for the future, and Americans were starting to believe again in the promise of prosperity. The small copper penny circulating in the hands of millions of citizens symbolized this gradual rise from hardship. Copper itself held symbolic meaning, representing endurance and strength in the face of adversity. The average 1936 wheat penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing about 31 grams. It had a diameter of 19 millimeters and was designed to last for decades. Many of these coins circulated well into the 1950s and 1960s, carrying with them the touch of countless hands and the passage of history. Each scratch and mark on a circulated penny from this era tells a story, a memory from the pockets of Americans who lived through Recovery War and progress. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced more than 309 million 1936 wheat pennies, while the Denver Mint struck over 40 million, and the San Francisco Mint made nearly 30 million. Although these numbers might seem large, not all of those coins survived over the years. Many were lost, damaged, or melted down, making well-preserved examples more valuable to collectors. Today, the coins that remain in mint state condition, especially those with vibrant original red color, are particularly sought after by numismatists. Color grading is an important factor for collectors, with pennies often classified as red, brown, or brown, based on how much of their original copper luster remains. The redder the coin, the higher the potential value. As for errors and varieties, the 1936 wheat penny is famous among collectors for its doubled die obverse variety. This error occurred when the die used to strike the coin was impressed twice by the design hub, but slightly misaligned. This created noticeable doubling on Lincoln's date and motto, especially visible on the words, "In God we trust and liberty." These doubled die examples are among the most collectible and valuable 1936 pennies. Depending on their condition, they can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another subtle variety involves repunched mint marks, where the letter D or S was struck more than once at a slightly different angle, resulting in a shadow effect. Under magnification, these varieties remind us that even small imperfections can become treasures for those who study and preserve history. The value of a 1936 wheat penny varies greatly today, depending on its type and condition. A heavily circulated coin might only be worth a few cents, while a bright uncirculated red example could be valued at several dollars, and proof versions or rare doubled dies can be worth far more. Yet beyond monetary value, the 1936 penny stands as a reminder of America's resilience. The coin was handled by workers returning to jobs, by children saving their first cents, by families buying food, and by citizens watching the nation recover and move forward. It passed from hand to hand in movie theaters, grocery stores, post offices, and factories. It was a tiny but essential part of the economic heartbeat of 1930s America. The 1936 wheat penny also connects to broader changes happening in coinage design and mint technology. The mint was improving its production quality, experimenting with new processes to reduce wear on dies, and ensuring that coins remained durable for circulation. These improvements helped maintain the reliability of American currency during a time of immense national rebuilding for collectors and historians. The 1936 penny is also a link to numismatic revival, as coin collecting gained popularity in the United States during the 1930s and 1940s. Many young collectors started with wheat pennies because they were easy to find in circulation and affordable. This period saw the rise of hobbyist organizations and coin clubs across America, creating a sense of community among people fascinated by the small pieces of metal that told big stories. Even today, the 1936 wheat penny continues to fascinate collectors, not only because of its design and rarity, but because it captures a moment in time. It represents a year when the nation was recovering from despair, moving toward hope, and building the foundation for a future of strength and prosperity. Every coin from that year is a fragment of history, a piece of copper that has witnessed generations of change and growth. When you hold a 1936 wheat penny in your hand, you are holding a relic of an era when coins meant more than just money. They were symbols of perseverance, of unity, and of the enduring American spirit that refused to give up through economic collapse, war, and recovery. The wheat penny remained a companion to the Americans.